Today is March 4th. Today's quote is entitled, "One Stick for the Teachers." In Dallas, Prabhupada had 2 sticks, and he was slapping them in his hand. He said, one is for the students. He once said, show them the stick, but don't use it. And the other is for the teachers. The point being to not think that because you have a position, everything you do is correct or must be accepted by those under you. So we had talked about this a few days ago, that when you have a position, you shouldn't think, because I have the position, now I'm perfect. We made that mistake after Prabhupada left. Prabhupada had chosen 11 men to be Ritpik, to initiate on his behalf, and then it was understood or decided that these were the 11 that Prabhupada chose. And people started saying because Prabhupada chose them, he endowed them with the power of pure devotion, and because they had the position of Guru, they kind of inherited Prabhupada's position and all the purity and ecstasy and spiritual strength that went with it. And it's not like that. When you have a position, what you inherit is the possibility of all of that if you fulfill the role of that position. Just like Prabhupada gave us Brahminical initiation. Not that because we were actually qualified, but because it would enable us to become qualified. He gave us sannyas. Not me, but he gave some sannyas. Not because they were actually sannyasis, but now they were wearing the shoes of a sannyasi, they were on the road to sannyas, they were in a position where they could develop it, which is a lot different than thinking, now that I'm a sannyasi, I'm fully qualified. So Prabhupada's saying the same thing. A student is disciplined by his teacher, but don't think because you're a teacher, you can't do anything wrong. That would be a huge mistake to think that way. So Prabhupada's saying, yeah, one stick for the kids. We didn't use the stick, but the example is there. Punish the kids. But if the teachers misbehave, they should be punished. And sometimes they did misbehave. And Prabhupada was very unhappy about that because children obviously are meant to be nourished, cherished, protected, nurtured, and so forth. And if teachers were unable to do that, they're the ones who should be chastised. It's very interesting because I teach a lot. And a lot of times when we teach, we think, well, I've taught it properly, therefore I'm successful. But the actual question is, did students learn anything? Did they learn what you were teaching? Because if they didn't learn what you were teaching, it's not their fault. It's your fault as a teacher. And you might say, but I taught it. All the information is there. But the problem was you didn't teach it in a way that they got it. So it's your fault, not their fault. So you have to look at yourself. And sometimes we would blame our students or disciples or people under us for not doing something right when in fact we didn't instruct them properly, or we didn't ensure that they understood it, or we didn't deal with time, circumstance, situations and adjust things properly for them. So it's an important point. So again, as we spoke about a few days ago, just because you have a position, with the position doesn't come the qualification. With the position comes the opportunity to develop the qualification. Of course, we're not going to put unqualified people in positions. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, we're putting people who are not fully qualified in positions in the hopes that by taking on that position, like we say, learn how to swim by being thrown in the water, their sincerity and their efforts will help them develop those qualities. But we should never think just because we now have a title that's made us qualified. No, we should always think, there's a stick that Prabhupada has in his hand, and if I make mistakes, I deserve that stick. Not that I should think, no, the people under me deserve it when they make mistakes. I also deserve it. We have to be humble. If as leaders we're not humble, it's very, very bad, because we set the example. And if we want others to be humble, we have to be it. Whatever you want another person to do, you have to be willing to do it yourself. You can't just tell them, you do this, and don't do it yourself. It doesn't work that way. Hare Krishna.